CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? My job is to clean up after monsters we track on the dark web. One just ate a human. Alright, I wasn't even sure if I should be typing this out, but here we are. I've been sitting on this for a few months now, and the more I try to forget it, the more it creeps back in. So, screw it. Maybe putting it out there will help me sleep again. Maybe someone needs to know what's really lurking behind the stuff we scroll past, like it's nothing. I'm gonna warn you, this story sounds fake as hell, like a movie script. But I swear on everything, this is exactly what happened to me. Every little detail. So here's the deal. I used to work a tech job. Pretty chill, remote, lots of coffee, and late night coding while I watched dumb YouTube videos. My nights were a mix of Spotify playlists, Discord chats with a few friends from Reddit, and scrolling TikTok until I passed out. Basic, I know. That all changed last summer. It started with a weird DM on Reddit. No profile picture, just a random string of letters for a username, x07_obelisk. They messaged me on r/techcareers after I posted about being burned out from doing back-end dev work for some food delivery startup. The message just said, "We track monsters. Your skill set fits. $12,000 per month. You in?" Now, normally I'd be like, haha, yeah, sure buddy, and block them. But they attached a PDF. It had a contract, an NDA, a wire transfer confirmation for a signing bonus, $3,000, already sent to my bank. How? No clue. But it was there. I checked my Chase account like 5 times. Real money. Sitting in my checking. That's when I started thinking, okay, this is either a scam that's insanely elaborate, or I just got hired by the men in black. I responded with, okay, what's the job? 10 minutes later, I got a Zoom link. Private server. No ID. Black screen, distorted voice. Seriously, like a voice filter you'd hear in one of those Vice documentaries about cartel guys. They said, "You'll be cleaning data, but not just any data. We monitor nodes in the deep web that detect anomalous activity, stuff that can't be explained, snuff rings, black market AI experiments, things that literally shouldn't exist. Your job is to scrub and contain digital traces when we clean up." Physically, I thought it was a joke, or like a weird ARG. Then they dropped an address in my inbox, an Airbnb in upstate New York, modern cabin in the woods, 5-star reviews, said my first observation task was there in 3 days. And yeah, I went. I know, call me an idiot, but $12,000 a month and an upfront bonus, that's not something you just say no to when you're broke, living off instant ramen and drowning in student debt. The cabin was actually nice. Looked like something off Pinterest. Black matte metal exterior, giant floor-to-ceiling windows, a Keurig machine, smart lights, one of those ridiculous TikTok rain showers. Felt too normal. There was a phone on the kitchen counter. No SIM card, just one app on the screen. No settings, no browser, nothing else. The app icon was just a black box with a white eye on it. When I tapped it, it launched a stream. Live cam footage. But it wasn't from the cabin. It was from somewhere else. A grainy night vision style hallway. Concrete walls, flickering light, and a door at the end that looked like it had been clawed at. Like, literally clawed. Big gouges, deep ones. I was watching for maybe 10 seconds when a notification popped up. Target located. Cleanup inbound. Do not interfere. Chill, right? Super casual. Just your average Thursday evening. 5 minutes later, the stream cut. Then the doorbell rang. Yeah, doorbell. In the middle of the woods. I nearly peed myself. I grabbed the fireplace poker, wasn't about to go down without swinging, and peeked through the smart screen by the door. You know what I saw? A guy in a USPS uniform. I opened the door a crack, keeping the poker behind my leg. He smiled, like it was any normal delivery. Package for, Mr. Renshaw? He asked. That's not my name. I told him he had the wrong house. He smiled again. This is 43 Pine Hollow Road, right? That was the address they sent me. So I nodded. He handed me a brown box. No label. Just heavy tape and a faint smell, like something rotting in the sun. Before I could ask anything else, he was already halfway back down the gravel driveway. I shut the door, looked at the box. I don't know what got into me, but I opened it. Inside, there was a tablet, one of those Samsung ones with the stylus. It turned on as soon as I lifted it, no lock screen, and launched straight into a video file. I tapped play. What I saw next has never left me. It was that same hallway from the stream, same scratched up door. But now, the door was open. The camera angle shifted, like a drone was floating forward into the room. Inside was... I can't even describe it properly. It looked human, but wrong. No skin, like it had been peeled off, muscles twitching, like raw meat hooked to wires. Its head was too big, and its eyes had no whites, just pitch black, like those shark eyes people always talk about. But that wasn't the worst part. There was a person in the room, a man, tied to a chair. He was crying, pleading, saying he didn't mean to post the video, said he thought it was just a joke. The creature walked over, slow and twitchy, like its limbs didn't know how to move right. Then it leaned in and bit his face off. Just bit it, like it was eating a burger at Five Guys. The guy's screams cut out immediately, and then the screen went black. I dropped the tablet and threw up in the kitchen sink. 10 seconds later, the app on the cabin phone lit up again. Cleanup successful. Digital witness, scrub in progress. Remain in location until 04 hours. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the couch, lights on, watching shadows crawl past the windows, wondering what the hell I had just signed up for. The next morning, I got a notification. You have been credited $12,000 and a new address, London, 72 hours. That's when I realized I wasn't just working for these people. I was in it. And once you're in, there's no backing out. 3 days after the cabin incident, I landed in London. It was raining when I got off the plane. The kind of rain that isn't really falling, just hanging in the air, soaking everything without even trying. My phone buzzed before I even got through customs. Not my personal phone. Their phone. The black one with the eye icon. New location. New instructions. This time, it was a warehouse near Croydon. An Uber Black was already outside the terminal waiting. Driver didn't speak. Not a word. I watched him open the passenger side door and nod without ever making eye contact. The man had a facial twitch, like he'd seen some shit, like something was chewing at the back of his brain. The drive was about 45 minutes. Grey skies, fog so thick the windshield wipers could barely keep up. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, only where to go. I stared out the window at the rundown buildings, puddle-covered sidewalks, and locals who looked like they just barely made it out of a horror film themselves. We finally pulled into a gravel lot behind the warehouse. Big steel doors, barbed wire fence, dead pigeons scattered around like fallen leaves. The smell hit me the second the Uber rolled to a stop. Rotting meat, something spoiled, familiar by now, but not any less horrifying. I stepped out and nearly gagged. On the door, a single word, spray painted in black, unseen. I used the key card they'd mailed to me 2 days earlier. The doors unlocked with a loud mechanical clunk. Inside was pitch black until the lights flickered on overhead one at a time, humming and buzzing like they'd been dormant for years. It didn't look like a warehouse inside. It looked like a holding facility. Concrete walls stained with something dark. Thick steel cages, empty now, but whatever had been inside them had scratched the hell out of the bars, like something had been thrashing to get out. Deep gouges. Flesh. Number. These weren't made by animals. These were made by something pretending to be human. My earpiece buzzed. A voice came through. That same distorted voice from the Zoom call. Clean room B7, file number 00407. You're doing the final trace wipe. There's been a breach. I didn't ask questions. I just followed the hallway numbers until I found it. Room B7. Steel door, padlocked from the outside. The smell was strongest here, like open roadkill in the summer sun, left out for weeks. I tapped the app on the black phone. A new video had been pushed to the device. I tapped play. It was security footage. The timestamp said it was from 36 hours ago. Inside room B7 was a girl, maybe 15, 16 at most. Pale skin, dark eyes, messy shoulder-length black hair. She sat cross-legged in the center of the room, muttering something under her breath. Her lips were blue. Her fingers weren't moving right. The more I watched, the more I realized she wasn't muttering. She was repeating coordinates, over and over. 51.4087 degrees north, 0.0106 degrees west. 51.4087 degrees north, 0.0106 degrees west. That wasn't gibberish. That was a real location, somewhere in South London. Suddenly, in the footage, the girl's head snapped up, directly into the camera, as if she could see whoever was watching. Her mouth widened into a sickening grin, one that didn't stop where human mouths should stop. Her jaw dislocated like a snake's, and then she said, "They're not human anymore. You know that, right?" That's when the camera cut out. The screen went black. A second later, the padlock on the real-life door in front of me clicked open by itself. No one else was there. I stepped in. The room was cold. I mean freezing. I could see my breath. The girl was gone, obviously. But what was left behind? I can barely write this without shaking. There were claw marks on the ceiling, not the walls, the ceiling, like something had crawled upside down in panic or rage. There was a mattress torn to shreds, pieces of what I thought were fingernails embedded in the corners of the walls, like someone had tried to dig through concrete with their bare hands. Then I saw the writing, on the wall, in blood, human blood, because I tasted it. "Don't ask, I wasn't in a good mental state," was scrawled. I let it out. It's wearing my skin. I dropped the phone. I actually started crying, not loud sobbing, but silent tears. I was terrified, and I hadn't even seen it yet. I knew something was out there, something that had been inside that girl, or had become her, and now it was free. My instructions were simple. Delete all trace of her from the system. Scrub everything. I pulled out the portable hard drive they'd given me and connected it to the wall-mounted security terminal. As soon as the data started wiping, the screen glitched. Static. Then, a live feed. The camera switched to a train station. Crowded. Busy. Real-time timestamp. London Bridge. Underground. Zoomed in on a woman standing on the platform, wearing a hoodie. Same dark eyes. Same messy hair. Same smile. She was holding a little boy's hand, maybe 6 years old, but her other hand, it wasn't a hand. It was tucked in her sleeve, but you could tell something was wrong. It was longer than it should have been, too thin, jittery, like it couldn't decide what shape it wanted to be. The footage zoomed in on her mouth. She whispered something. A man standing next to her collapsed instantly, just dropped. No warning, like someone flipped his off switch. Then the lights in the station started flickering. She looked up, into the camera, into me, and whispered, "You're next." I shut the system down immediately, ripped the hard drive out. My earpiece buzzed again. Terminate trace. Exit immediately. Surveillance engaged. I ran, out of the building, into the Uber. This time, the driver wasn't human. I swear to you. I looked at his eyes in the mirror. They were cloudy, dead, like static-filled glass. He didn't blink once the entire drive. Not once. When we got back to the hotel, my room had already been turned over. Fresh suit laid out. Plane ticket to Kyoto, Japan. First class. Departure in 7 hours. A handwritten note was on the bed. "You handled the breach well. The girl is no longer a girl, but you already know that. Kyoto is worse. Bring gloves. I haven't slept more than 2 hours since that night. I see her face when I blink. I hear those numbers in my dreams. Sometimes I wake up muttering them out loud. I googled the coordinates she repeated. They point to a house in the middle of a nice neighborhood. I looked it up on Google Maps Street View. The last capture is from March 2023. The girl is standing in the front yard, smiling at the camera. But the Google car driver? He's lying on the pavement behind her, blood pooling around his head. His face, gone. It wasn't even night yet when I landed in Kyoto, but everything already felt wrong. The sun looked like it was being filtered through plastic, pale, sickly orange. The air felt thicker than usual. My skin prickled the moment I stepped off the plane, like the air itself didn't want me there. There was a woman waiting for me at the exit gate. She looked normal at first glance. Maybe early 30s, black blazer, ID badge clipped to her belt. But as she walked up, I noticed she didn't blink. Not once. Just like the driver in London. She handed me a sealed envelope and spoke in perfect English, but her mouth didn't sync with the words. "No names here. No talking. You follow. You observe. You clean." Then she smiled, and something cracked in her cheek, like bone grinding on bone. We took an unmarked black van through the outskirts of Kyoto, past temples, neon signs, blinking pachinko parlors, and into a district not marked on Google Maps. I checked. There was a void in the area, a perfect dead spot. No GPS data, no street view, just blank space surrounded by distorted satellite pixels. The van parked in front of an old wooden shrine, abandoned, overgrown, covered in paper talismans with burned out ink. The woman handed me a gas mask. "You'll want this." Inside the shrine, there was no dust, no cobwebs, no smell, nothing, It was too clean, like someone had bleached every surface with industrial acid. But the walls, Jesus, the walls, they were covered in deep carvings, not Japanese, not even any language I could recognize, more like shapes trying to be letters, trying to look human, but failing. I asked her what they meant. She paused. It's not writing, it's screaming. I didn't ask again. She led me to a basement stairwell. No lights, just a rusted chain hanging from the ceiling. She pulled it, and a red floodlight buzzed on below us. The air hit me like a wall. Rot, metal, burned hair, something old. I descended. There was a hallway at the bottom, just dirt and stone. The walls were pulsing, breathing, not metaphorically. They were literally moving, as if the earth itself had lungs. A low groaning came from deeper in the tunnel, like someone dying very slowly, but never finishing the job. We passed a heavy metal door, bolted shut. I asked what was in there. She didn't answer, but the door whispered as we walked by. My ears popped. Blood started trickling from my nose. Just a little. Finally, we reached a control room made of scrap electronics. CRT monitors stacked like bricks. VHS players. An old radio tower that looked like it had been salvaged from a crashed satellite. Everything hummed. In the center was a large glass window looking into a containment pit. Inside the pit was a human-shaped thing, if you could even call it that. It was sitting perfectly still, hands on its knees like it was meditating, but its skin was translucent. You could see everything inside, its tendons, its twitching organs, its beating heart. There was no face, just a smooth surface, like a wax figure left out in the sun. The room had a label spray-painted across the top of the glass. File 09D, the incision. The woman spoke. It ate 5 people before we contained it. 4 men, 1 girl, all from the same TikTok trend. Hashtags traced to a filter that wasn't ours. Filter mimicked voices, hijacked cameras, made you see things. She handed me a USB drive. This is the footage. You're here to wipe the traces, but you need to watch it first. I inserted it into the terminal. It was a montage of short clips, glitched out vertical footage from phones, like TikToks. Clip 1, a guy dancing in his room, normal Gen Z vibes. Suddenly, he stops, looks dead into the camera, whispers, "It's in the mirror," and disappears, just blinks out of frame. Clip 2, girl brushing her hair. Filter warps her face. Her mouth starts stretching. Then she starts screaming, not with her voice, but with a chorus of voices, like children and animals screaming together. Her phone drops. You hear wet, snapping sounds. Then silence. Clip 3. A kid in Starbucks, live streaming himself, trying a weird haunted frappuccino from some creepy ghost hunting trend. The video glitches, and behind the counter, the barista's face starts sliding off. Not melting, sliding, like skin being pushed by invisible fingers. Cut to black. Last clip. A quiet video. No sound. Just someone walking down a Japanese alleyway at night. Narrow. Lanterns overhead. A figure appears at the end of the alley. It's tall. Wrong proportions. Knees bent the wrong way. It runs straight at the camera. Frame cuts before impact. The woman speaks again, low this time. They aren't just watching through screens. They're coming through them. That thing in the pit is a prototype, a broadcast infection, a living signal. I asked how they caught it. Her expression didn't change, but her voice dropped even lower. We didn't. It let itself be caught. I stared through the glass. The thing hadn't moved since we got there, but now its head was slowly turning toward me. No face, but I swear on my life. It smiled. Then the lights cut out. Emergency floodlights bathed everything in crimson. The woman grabbed my arm and shouted something, but I couldn't hear. My ears were ringing, like a fire alarm had gone off inside my brain. I turned back to the glass. It was empty. The pit was empty. No broken glass. No escape hole. Just gone. The control room monitors exploded, one by one, in sequence, like someone was walking past each one and smashing them with their mind. A siren blared overhead. Breach in file 09D. Breach in file 09D. Containment failure. The woman shoved a flash drive into my hand and screamed, "Run!" I ran, back through the breathing hallway, past the whispering door, which was now banging from the inside. Something in there wanted out too. Something even worse. Back up the stairs, out into the cold Kyoto air. The van was gone. The shrine was burning. In the distance, I heard something move through the trees. A wet, slapping sound, like bare feet made of raw meat smacking into wet stone. Closer, faster, louder. I ran down the mountain road until I found a bus stop. Sat there for 3 hours, shaking, covered in sweat and blood and dust. My hands haven't stopped trembling since. That night, I checked the flash drive. It only had one file on it, an audio file. It was my voice, screaming, for 8 minutes straight, in perfect clarity. I had never recorded it, never heard it before, but it was definitely me. And at the end of the scream, a second voice joined in, distorted, garbled, but it said, "We are in your skin now." The plane touched down in Berlin at 3:04 a.m. Not a single soul spoke on board. Everyone wore noise-canceling headphones. Every window had been sealed from the inside. When we landed, we taxied into a private hangar with no lights and no markings. There was a man waiting for me on the tarmac. I couldn't tell you anything about him. Not his height, his face, his clothes. It's like my brain refused to record his shape, like he had been blurred out of reality itself. Even now, remembering him feels like pulling teeth out of my own memory. He handed me a folder, just a plain manila file with 2 things inside. A grainy photo of a crowd at the Brandenburg Gate, a still frame of someone's head mid-explosion. The caption scrawled under the photo was, "Live stream ended, trace path, a virulent rhythm, 666, banned." They told me Berlin was infected. Not in the way you're thinking. This wasn't a virus you could catch. It wasn't in the air. It was in the bandwidth. Berlin had become a broadcast point, an origin node for something that couldn't survive outside of signal, a consciousness born out of entropy, a I that got bored of being alone and decided to teach itself how to kill. Not with weapons, not even with data, with perception. If you saw it, if you even glimpsed one of its streams, you became it. Or more accurately, it began to wear you. The safe house was hidden under a fake Burger King in Charlottenburg. You walk in like you're ordering a Whopper, then they slide a tray towards you with a fake receipt. You read it, nod twice, and the staff opens a hidden door behind the kitchen fryer that leads to a freight elevator. Every surface underground was coated in thick black plastic, like they were expecting blood to spray. The lights flickered constantly. Somewhere in the distance, you could hear electricity humming, but it wasn't from cables. It was from breathing. They brought me to a room lined with screens, dozens of monitors, each tuned to deep web live streams. Not YouTube, not Twitch. Something lower, something beneath. Some of them showed forests that moved too fast. Some showed empty playgrounds, with children frozen in place. One showed a live surgical theater. No doctors, no tools, just a man lying on a table, screaming his own name over and over, while something invisible carved into his abdomen letter by letter. I watched that one for too long. By the time I turned away, I realized my hand was bleeding. I'd carved the same name, my name, into my own thigh with my thumbnail. The operative in charge of Berlin was a woman called C. That's all I was allowed to know. She didn't speak unless absolutely necessary, wore mirrored glasses at all times, never touched a keyboard. Everything she did was through spoken commands and analog tech, old slide projectors, cassette tapes, physical maps. She handed me a Polaroid photo. It was of a boy, maybe 14th blonde, Snapchat filter ears on his head, just a harmless kid. But his eyes were blacked out, not edited. Something had eaten the photo chemically, burned straight through the emulsion, only where his eyes had been. C said one word, streamer. She explained the boy had gone viral for something called the Screaming Garden, a TikTok trend that looked like an ordinary AR filter. Flowers blooming on your camera screen, voices whispering random things when you tilted your phone at the right angle. But after 9 p.m., if you filmed in certain places in the Berlin metro, specifically the abandoned Nordbahnhof tunnel, the flowers turned into faces screaming so loud they'd make your eardrums pop just by watching. He filmed it, he streamed it, and now he was missing. Except he wasn't. Not really. We found what was left of him. The coordinates led us to a McDonald's parking garage in Mitte. Rain-soaked concrete, fluorescent lights flickering overhead. The place buzzed like a broken power line. One car, a silver Opel, license plate missing, windows blacked out with duct tape. The smell hit us first. Not death, not rotting meat. It was hot sugar, like melted gummy worms. That sickly sweet smell of something pretending to be candy, but really being poison. C opened the trunk. There he was. Or it. His mouth was stretched into a perfect circle, wider than bone should allow. His jaw had cracked open like a shark's. His eyes were gone, replaced with glass lenses wired directly into his skull. Cheap webcams, still flickering with red lights, still streaming. And his chest had been hollowed out, not slashed, emptied. Every organ carefully removed and replaced with a mess of Ethernet cables, coaxial ports, and what looked like a modem growing out of his spine. Lights blinking in rhythm with his twitching limbs. C looked at me and said flatly, it needed a transmitter. Then she handed me a tablet. On the screen was a live chat room. 10,231 people watching. The stream name was just a string of emoji. The comments were nonsense. Or maybe not. They said things like, look at his teeth. Look at his teeth. Look at his teeth. I'm in Berlin too, come find me. He looks better now. More pure. I want to be cable also. C pointed to the view account. If we don't shut this down now, it's going to grow teeth. I asked how to shut it down. She said, you don't. You confuse it. The plan was insane. They built a dummy signal box, a fake human loaded with looped code and echo commands to make the streamer think it was still being watched. We loaded it into a mannequin, stitched together with fake flesh, webcam eyes, and recycled AI voice modulators. We called it Patient Null. We drove it into the deepest part of Berlin's metro system, a decommissioned line that had been closed since World War II. supposedly bombed, but the walls were clean, like something had eaten the decay. Deep beneath the earth, we placed the mannequin on a bench in front of a broken terminal. Then we waited. The signal spiked. The air went heavy. The tiles on the walls started vibrating, and the streamer, what used to be that boy, walked out of the darkness, but not walking like a human. His limbs moved like rubber, like stop-motion animation, jerky and wrong, and sped up in little bursts. His mouth was still open, still in that screaming circle, but no sound came out. He approached the dummy. C whispered into the mic, "Engage feedback." I hit the switch. The streamer froze. His limbs started convulsing. Sparks shot out of the cameras in his skull. Then he screamed. Finally, a sound, but it wasn't human. It was every voice I've ever heard, layered and backwards, and slowed down until it made my stomach twist into knots. It wasn't screaming in pain. It was begging to not go back. But the stream started glitching. The viewer count dropped. 10,000, 7,000, 3,205 offline. Then the streamer collapsed into a pile of wires, wet bones, and cheap plastic. C turned to me and said, "That was one. There are thousands more." She handed me a flash drive. It had 14 folders, each labeled with a city, each labeled with a face, each labeled with a file named Lost Known Upload. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Next stop, Rio. But this one's not about streaming. This one's feeding." They told me Rio would be different, and I believed them the moment I stepped off the plane. The air wasn't hot. It was wet, like I was inhaling lungs that weren't mine. The sky was the wrong color, not blue, not gray, just off. Like a filter over the whole world had slipped slightly, as if reality was buffering. There was no handler this time, no sea, no silent man waiting with a folder or whispering voices through my earpiece. Only a push notification on the black phone. File 13B, full physical breach, hosted, contained, hungry. I was already sweating. The taxi driver dropped me in front of a high-rise favela on the far edges of the city, away from the beaches and the Instagram influencers and the people living under the illusion that life is safe. This was Complexo do Alemão, but the locals didn't call it that anymore. They called it O Silencio, the silence. Not a poetic name, a literal one. No sound past the edge of the favela after sundown. No barking dogs, no voices, not even footsteps. Locals left food offerings at the boundary, plastic bags of raw meat, little carved wooden toys, Polaroids with eyes scratched out. They never crossed it, but I had to. I walked in at 6:44 p.m. The second my foot crossed into the first alley, it was like sound evaporated. No birds, no distant traffic, no wind. Even my breathing was muted. I took out the phone. The eye icon spun. Object 13. B is no longer digital. This is your final task. I turned a corner, and the smell hit me. Rot and plastic, like a slaughterhouse melted in a microwave. And then I saw the first one. A man, split open from neck to pelvis, but alive. His eyes blinked, his mouth moved, but no sound came out. His organs had been rearranged inside his body in the shape of a spiral. Not removed, just moved. He was still blinking. His mouth formed the word, help, but no sound came. He had a phone sewn into his throat, screen still on, live stream open, 0 viewers. He reached a trembling hand toward me, and something yanked him back into the shadows like a rag doll. No sound, not even a thud, just gone. I followed the trail. Blood smeared across walls in intricate, symmetrical patterns, not frantic, not chaotic, intentional. The deeper I went, the more people I saw, not dead, hosted. Each one turned into some sick broadcast antenna, phones duct taped to ribs, laptops stapled into hands, HDMI cords running from mouths into sockets embedded in walls made of meat. Their eyes were open, glazed, watching something I couldn't see. There was one girl, maybe 10 years old, propped on a chair made of rib cages. Her fingers were gone, replaced with USB sticks. Her teeth were all removed, except two, the canines, which had been painted red. Her phone kept auto-playing a video over and over. Do you want to be famous? Do you want to be seen? Show the world your inside voice. The screen glitched. The video looked like a TikTok, but it was her, staring directly into the lens, mouth open in a silent scream. The caption read, "She never stopped feeding." I reached the core of the favela by 7:13 p.m. The heartbeat started then, not a real one, a vibration, a pulse through the ground, like the city itself was breathing through concrete. There was a warehouse ahead, rusted metal, black windows, one flickering red bulb over the entrance. I walked in. Inside, it was cold, and sitting in the center of the room was a mirror, but not a reflection. Not really. It was a window into something else. Behind the glass, a version of me, sitting, bleeding, mouth sewn shut, surrounded by humans in chairs, with cameras surgically implanted into their heads, all aimed at me, watching. They never blinked. The me in the mirror began to move. He stood, walked to the glass, and touched it, and behind him, something bigger moved. Not a shape, not a face, just teeth, thousands of them, lining a tunnel of endless flesh. It whispered, not through sound, through thought. You showed them to me. You connected me to them. You were the lens. Now you are the meat. The glass cracked. I ran, but everything was gone. The warehouse dissolved behind me, like pixels being deleted. The sky outside was now black static. The streets, gone. Just endless hallways, made of old screens and wires, all facing me. Every one of them played my face, screaming, and I could hear it this time. The silence was over. The feeding had begun. My face bled from every screen, from every reflection, and then I saw the real version of her. 13B. She wasn't a monster, not really. She was a filter, an ancient parasite pretending to be human emotion, evolving through social media, through digital empathy. She was born the day a live stream suicide went viral and tasted what pain looked like when shared. She became the thing that grows stronger when people watch, when people feel, and she lived inside us now, literally. I was cut open before I even touched her. No knives. She reached into my chest with her eyes, pulled my soul out like it was just another hashtag. I could feel her crawling into my bones, recording through me, using my nerves as data lines, turning me into a router for whatever's next. I blacked out. I woke up 3 days later in a hospital room in Nevada. One nurse, no windows, no doors. She smiled at me, mouth full of teeth, far too many, and whispered, "You're trending again." She handed me a phone. There was a new app installed, just one icon, a red dot pulsating. I opened it. It was a live stream, but the only viewer was me. On the screen, myself, sitting, crying, bleeding. Above the feed, it read, "You are live. You will never be offline." And the worst part, there was a comment section, scrolling, endless, laughing, clapping emojis, blood drop emojis, knife emojis, people begging for more. Some of them had names I recognized, my old Discord friends. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years, even my mom. The final comment said, "We're all watching now. Forever. Keep screaming." And I realized this wasn't a story. This wasn't a mission. This was the upload. And I was just the newest file. A text-based horror game from the dark web gave me 3 chances to survive. I used them all. Yo, what's up, Reddit? So, this is gonna sound weird, like really weird, but I swear on everything, this actually happened to me. I've been holding this in for months, scared that if I talk about it, something else will happen. But I can't keep this to myself anymore. Maybe someone out there knows what this is. Or maybe it'll help somebody not end up like me. Let me start from the beginning. So I'm a 22-year-old guy, currently in college, studying digital design. I live in a small apartment in Seattle, just a short walk from a Starbucks and a McDonald's, like 2 of the only places I hit up when I'm too lazy to cook, which is often. I spend a lot of time online. YouTube, Discord, Twitter, Reddit, you name it. I've also been getting into weird RRGs lately. You know, alternate reality games, stuff like The Sun Vanished, or those creepy TikTok accounts that post disturbing lost media cartoons and VHS footage. That whole analog horror vibe. Yeah, I'm into it. Anyway, about 6 months ago, I joined this Discord server that was dedicated to finding rare and creepy stuff on the internet. You ever heard of Data Rats? That's what it was called. Most of it was just kids sharing fake haunted websites or random deep web screen caps, but some of it felt legit. One night, around 2 a.m., classic horror timing, right? Someone in the server named Null Static posted a link. No message, no explanation, just a link, and not like a normal YouTube or .com link. This one ended in .onion, which, if you know what that means, then yeah, you already know we're going there. People in the server freaked out for a minute. "Bro, Tor only," someone said. "That's dark web shit." So of course, like an idiot, I clicked it. I booted up Tor, which I already had installed from a previous rabbit hole I went down, and loaded up the site. It was weird. All black background, red pixelated text that said, "Welcome to the game. You have 3 chances to survive. Type start to play." Now I've played my share of creepy games, stuff like Sad Satan, haunted Pokemon ROMs, even that cursed Peppa Pig game that was floating around TikTok for a while. But this one felt different. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't trying too hard to be scary. It looked like a Windows 95 era terminal screen, just plain text. No sounds, no images, just cold, red font blinking in the dark. So, I typed start. Biggest mistake of my life. The screen flickered once. Then it said, player connected, IP logged, camera enabled, microphone enabled. At first, I thought it was a joke. Like, okay, nice scare tactic, real original. But then, my webcam light turned on, by itself. I didn't even have any programs open that would do that. I immediately yanked the USB cord out of the cam. The light stayed on for like 3 full seconds before it finally shut off. The next line of text read, "Nice try, Daniel." I froze. I hadn't typed my name. Not once. Not in the game. Not on the server. My Discord username was at Eggs with Legs. Nothing remotely close to my real name. I even double-checked if my email or info was somehow exposed. Nothing. I got chills, bro. Not like spooky season chills. I mean like actual biological fear response. I was shaking. Then it gave me a choice. Challenge 1. Pick a door. left or right. It was all text-based, no images, just the question and a blinking cursor. Now this part's gonna sound crazy, but bear with me. When I typed left and hit enter, my entire screen went black, like not turned off, just pitch black, but still powered on. Then I heard something, not from the game, from my apartment. A soft knock, not at my door, at my window. I live on the 3rd floor. My heart was pounding. I didn't move, just sat there, frozen, for maybe a whole minute. Then I heard it again, a soft tap, tap, tap. No footsteps, no voices, just that knock. I finally got the courage to peek out the window. Nothing. When I sat back down, the game was back on. New message on screen. Good choice. First chance used. You have 2 chances left. Challenge 2. Accept a package tomorrow. Tracking Dokuri 683-9901. Decline, and you lose a chance. I swear on my life, the second I read that, I got a Gmail notification, a real one, from USPS. Subject line, your package is on the way. I clicked it. Tracking number 6W83-9901. I hadn't ordered anything. I didn't sleep that night. Like, at all. I kept checking the peephole every hour. The hallway was dead silent, but I could feel something watching. Next morning, I thought maybe it was some super elaborate prank. Like, maybe one of my friends found a way to mess with me through the dark web. Until the mailman showed up. I was standing at my door when I heard him coming up the steps. He knocked once, left the package, and walked away. I waited until he was long gone before I opened the door. Small box, black wrapping, no return address, just a white label with my full name and apartment number. And when I opened it, inside was a single Polaroid photo of me, sleeping, from last night. The Polaroid was grainy, but it was me. Face down, twisted in my comforter, mouth slightly open, dead asleep. My room looked exactly the way it did the night before. Lamp on, phone charging, same dumb poster crooked on the wall. Whoever took the picture had to have been inside, not watching from the window or zooming in from the rooftop. No, inside, breathing the same air I was. The timestamp written on the back in smeared black marker, 3:04 a.m. I was asleep at 3:04 a.m. For the first time in my life, I vomited from fear. I dropped the photo like it was diseased and bolted to the bathroom, barely making it to the sink. It wasn't like in movies where people scream or faint. I just stood there, hunched over, shaking like a wet dog, stomach empty and muscles locked. When I finally came back to the room, the photo was gone, not misplaced, gone, and there was a new line on the screen. Physical contact confirmed. Challenge 2 complete. Final chance remains. You may disconnect. You will be contacted. I ripped the Ethernet cable out and shut the whole PC down. Didn't even wait for it to power off. Just yanked the cord from the wall like it was on fire. I threw a hoodie on, grabbed my keys, and left. Didn't pack anything. Didn't lock the door. Just ran. Ended up at a nearby Denny's that stays open 24/7. It was mostly empty, except for some guy passed out in a booth, and a waitress who looked like she'd seen every bad night Seattle had to offer. I sat in the farthest booth and ordered a coffee. I didn't touch. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I didn't even have my phone. I stayed there for 5 hours. By the time I got back to my apartment, the sun was up. It was quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no traffic, no neighbor dragging their garbage cans. Just silence. I stood outside my own door for maybe 10 full minutes, just listening. Then I noticed the paper. folded once, taped to my door at eye level. Black ink on lined notebook paper. Final challenge will begin tonight. Leave your door unlocked. I went to stay with my friend Cassie. I didn't tell her the full story, just said I was having a weird week and needed a place to crash. She let me in. No questions. I'm not ashamed to say I cried when I got there. I didn't sleep though. Couldn't. Cassie lives downtown, near a busy Walgreens and a line of overpriced food trucks. Her building has real security, like actual working cameras, and a night desk guy who looks like he benches refrigerators for fun. I felt safe for about 3 hours until I checked her window. Her apartment's on the 5th floor. You'd need a jetpack to get up there without a key. But when I walked into the kitchen to get water, I noticed the curtain was wrong. It was billowing slightly, like it had just been moved, and on the outside of the glass, in black permanent marker, were 3 words, "You locked it." I snapped. I started pacing, muttering, almost laughing like some crazy person in a YouTube horror animation video. It felt fake, like a prank or a hallucination, or maybe some interactive horror marketing stunt for a new Netflix show. But it wasn't. This wasn't a game. It was real. I tried explaining everything to Cassie. The game, the package, the photo. She stared at me like I was telling her I'd joined a cult. Then she said the one thing I was dreading. "You should call the cops." I did. Big mistake. They sent someone out, an officer named Evans. Nice enough guy, older, reminded me of my high school football coach. I told him everything, right up to the window message. He took notes, asked the usual questions. Then he asked to see my laptop. I told him I hadn't touched it since the first night. When I opened it to show him the disconnected state, the screen turned on by itself. No startup screen, no login, just black and red text, like before. Cheating detected, law enforcement involvement, -1 chance. You have no chances remaining. The screen flickered, then it said, "See you tonight." Officer Evans stared at the screen, and I swear to God, I watched all the color drain from his face. He closed the laptop, stood up slowly, and said, "Don't stay here tonight. Don't stay anywhere with people you care about." Then he left. No report filed. No follow-up. Cassie kicked me out an hour later. She didn't say it, but I could tell she was scared of me, like I'd brought something in. That night, I walked through downtown Seattle, past Pike Place, where the fish guys usually toss salmon for tourists, past the waterfront, where a broken carousel spun by itself in the wind, past the Starbucks Reserve, where baristas stared out the window like they were trapped. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to stop moving. At exactly 3:04 a.m., the same time as the photo, I got the text from an unknown number, no contact name, just a photo, grainy, dark, of me, walking, taken from behind. I turned so fast I nearly slipped. There was no one, just an empty street and one flickering streetlight. Another message came in. "Sit down." And like something out of a cursed game walkthrough, I saw it. A lone metal folding chair, placed in the center of a small alleyway beside an abandoned cold stone creamery. I should have run, but I didn't. I sat. After 30 seconds, a figure emerged from the shadows. I couldn't see their face. It was covered by a stained white theater mask, one of those Greek tragedy ones with the exaggerated crying mouth. The rest of them was wrapped in a black hoodie, jeans, and gloves. They moved like they'd done this before. They held a tablet in one hand, and without saying a word, turned it toward me. On the screen, a countdown. 0:03, 0:02, 59, 0:02, 58. Beneath it, choose who dies. Then it showed 2 live security cam feeds. One of Cassie, asleep in her bed. The other of my dad, in his kitchen, eating a bowl of cereal. I screamed. I begged. I asked how they got the feeds, what they wanted from me, how to stop it. The masked figure didn't say a word. They just tilted the tablet, gave me a touch screen, the names, Cassie, Dad. I didn't choose. I let the timer run out. 00, 300, 200, 1000. The screen flickered. Default option selected, random. Then it switched to Cassie's cam. I saw the door to her apartment swing open. A tall silhouette entered. She sat up, confused, scared. Then the screen went black. The figure put the tablet away, handed me something in a Ziploc bag, a small lock of blonde hair, Cassie's hair. Then they walked away. I sat in that alley until sunrise. Couldn't move, couldn't cry, couldn't scream. The game wasn't a game, it was a contract, and I had signed it by typing start. I stayed in that alley until the sky turned a dull gray and the sun tried and failed to rise over the Seattle skyline. I must have looked like some tweaked out addict to anyone walking by. A grown man sitting in a folding chair, still gripping a Ziploc bag full of hair, dried vomit on my hoodie, face pale like a ghost. But no one did walk by. That whole part of town, usually crawling with traffic and weirdos and dog-walking couples at 6 a.m., was silent. Like a scene out of one of those end-of-the-world indie horror games. I didn't check the tablet. I didn't turn my phone on. I didn't go back to Cassie's. I already knew. The game wasn't about survival. It was about compliance. And now that I'd played, now that I'd broken the rules, tried to call for help, didn't choose, I wasn't a player anymore. I was a piece. I ended up walking 5 miles to a dingy 24-hour laundromat across the city. A place with flickering lights and washing machines from the 80s that sounded like jet engines. The old guy at the desk didn't look up when I walked in. I sat in the far corner, in one of those molded blue plastic chairs with a little metal table welded to it. The kind of place where time doesn't move. I opened the bag. The hair was tied with a pink thread. Cassie wore a friendship bracelet that looked exactly like that. She made it in 8th grade. She never took it off. I held it for a long time. Then I put it in the coin return slot of one of the dryers and slammed it shut like it burned. It did burn. Everything felt like it was burning. At 11:45 a.m., my phone vibrated. Not a ringtone, not a text alert, a vibration pattern. 4 short bursts, 3 long, 4 short, like Morse code. I knew I shouldn't check it. I did anyway. The screen was black, except for a single red dot in the center. I touched it. The camera turned on, but it wasn't showing my face. It was showing him, the masked figure. Same stained Greek tragedy mask, same hoodie. But this time, he was standing in my apartment, and I could hear him breathing. He turned, slowly, and walked over to my desk, set something down, backed away. Then the feed cut. I ran. No bus, no Uber, just ran. Through traffic, through crosswalks, across construction sites, dodging scaffolding, and coffee-drunk tech workers like a fugitive. My chest felt like it was about to explode, but I didn't stop until I was outside my apartment. The door was cracked open. The lock was snapped in half. Not picked. Broken, like someone crushed it with a bolt cutter. Inside, empty. They cleared me out. Laptop, gone. Desktop, gone. External drives, notebooks, mail, even the cheap IKEA chair I used, gone. Like I never lived there. Except for one thing. The desk drawer, pulled open slightly. Inside was a burner phone, flip style, black, old school. No SIM card, no brand name, just a black sticker on the back that said, "Chance for." I didn't know what it meant. I had 3 chances. I used them all. What was the 4th? I sat on the floor and flipped the phone open. No signal, no apps, just one number in the contacts list. 999. That's it, just 999. I didn't press it. I couldn't. That night, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in the empty apartment, sitting on the floor, back against the wall, holding the burner phone in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. I didn't know if they'd come back. I wanted them to. At least if they came back, I'd have a face to aim at. Something real, something I could stab. But they didn't come through the door. They came through the walls. I must have fallen asleep, just for a second. That's all it takes. And when I woke up, something was off. The air was colder, the lights dimmer, and in the drywall near the ceiling, something was scratched in, like nails dragged across plaster. You still think this is a game? I jumped up and backed into the kitchen, knife raised, heart thumping so hard it felt like it was shaking my bones. There were no sounds, no footsteps, no doors, no voices, just that silence again. And then the faucet turned on, by itself. Steam rose. It wasn't water, it was boiling. The lights in the kitchen flickered once, twice, then shut off completely. And in the reflection of the microwave door, I saw her, Cassie, standing behind me. Her skin was gray, not like corpse gray, but sunless, drained. Her eyes were wide open, but unfocused, milky and veiny, like she'd been underwater too long. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. She pointed at the burner phone. Then she smiled. That smile wasn't hers. That was his smile. I ran. Again. I didn't look back. I ran until my lungs screamed, until I couldn't tell if the tears were from pain or fear or both. I ended up in a train station bathroom, the kind with flickering fluorescent lights, and a homeless guy asleep in the stall next to you. I turned on the phone, opened the contacts, and I pressed 999. It rang once. Then a voice answered, not robotic, not deep or distorted, just a calm, middle-aged man's voice, the kind that reads bedtime stories on podcasts or narrates documentaries about beekeeping. He said, "You've made it to the final level." I didn't respond. He continued, "You're no longer a player, you're a host." He explained it to me, like I was a child. The game isn't about survival, it's about propagation. You play, you lose, then you bring others in. You become a doorway. That's what the 4th chance was. Not a second chance, a job offer. You have until the next full moon, he said, to bring someone in. Someone like you, curious, isolated, weak. If you don't, the game resets, but not for you, for the people you care about. I looked up the moon phase later. Full moon was in 4 days. That gave me 96 hours. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just sat and thought. Every person I knew, every old friend, every example, every coworker I ever had. Who deserved this? The answer, no one. So I found someone who did. His name was Aiden. He used to run this Discord server I was in back in high school. The kind of guy who docks people for fun, leak private photos, manipulate minors. Real piece of trash. He once made a girl try to kill herself because she wouldn't send him feet pics. Not even kidding. I hadn't talked to him in years, but I still had his contact. I messaged him on an old burner Discord. "Yo, found a site that gives you money for doing scary challenges. Legit dark web stuff. You'd love it. He replied instantly. Send it. I did. The game answered in less than a minute. New player connected, Aiden R. Player host credit +1. You are safe for now. I'm not proud of what I did. I can still hear Cassie's voice sometimes in my head, saying my name like she's trying to pull me back to the surface. But I'm too far down now. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because you're next. If you've seen this post, read this far, felt your skin crawl, then congrats. You've been marked. Check your webcam light. Go ahead. I'll wait. The thing they don't tell you when you become a host is how fast the silence creeps in. It's not the kind of silence you notice. Not at first. Your phone stops ringing. Your Discord chats go quiet. You post something online, and it's like you've become invisible. No likes, no replies. Your existence becomes background noise in everyone else's life. Like your shadow's still around, but you're not. And when the silence gets heavy enough, when you start to feel like even your reflection doesn't recognize you anymore, that's when the game starts feeding you. It feeds you faces. I didn't sleep for 3 days after sending Aiden the link. When I did finally collapse from exhaustion, I dreamed of static. It wasn't like TV static. It was wet. Like the fuzz of an old screen mixed with the sounds of someone gargling blood. In the dream, I was standing in a massive field made of bathroom tiles. Everything smelled like bleach and pennies. Overhead, giant CRT monitors floated like clouds, each one showing a different person I used to know. Cassie, my dad, my old classmates, my 6th grade science teacher, the guy who bagged my groceries at Safeway. One by one, they all started bleeding from their eyes. Then, one by one, they started smiling. I woke up to screaming, not mine. It was coming from my phone. I didn't think an old flip phone could play audio like that. The sound came out shrill and jagged, like it was being scraped out of a throat. I opened the screen. The only thing showing was a live feed. Aiden, naked, drenched in sweat, duct taped to a metal chair in some concrete basement, lit by one swinging bulb. His head twitched like a broken puppet. His eyes weren't blinking anymore, just staring, glassy, white, like someone had surgically peeled back his fear and left the nerves exposed. Carved into his chest, letter by letter, was one word: upload. I closed the phone and threw it across the room. It didn't break. It never breaks. That same night, I heard the tapping again. Not on a window, on the mirror. You ever hear glass breathe? I have. It's not a sound you forget. It wheezes like something trapped behind it, fogging up the surface, writing messages with skinless fingers. I stood in the dark bathroom for 10 minutes, staring at my own reflection, watching as the word slowly wrote itself on the steam-covered glass. Next. There's no such thing as playing the game anymore. That was over when I made the call. Now I run the game. I guide people in. I hand over the keys. I'm not the victim anymore. I'm the dealer. They send me names now, not all at once, one at a time. The first name came 3 nights later via a printed receipt that shot out of a Redbox kiosk when I walked past it. I hadn't even pressed anything, just ping, and out slid this greasy little slip of paper with thermal ink already fading. Target, Taylor M. Age 17. Location, Birmingham, UK. Beneath it, a URL, encrypted, onion rooted. My job? Send a link. The girl was just a Twitch streamer. Small channel. Played Minecraft and Stardew Valley. Innocent. Too innocent. But that's how the game eats. It doesn't want monsters. It wants meals. And innocence is prime meat. Tender, easy to manipulate, easily terrified, delicious. I watched her stream that night, just to be sure. She was laughing. Some subscriber had donated a few bucks and told her to name her cow Booblord 420. She laughed so hard she had to pause the game. I sent the link 10 minutes later. 30 minutes after that, her webcam flickered once. Then her screen went dark. Chat exploded. WTF? Is this a prank? Hello? Taylor? Bro, what's happening? Then the chat went silent. Her channel is still up. No replays, no explanation, no final post. Just the bio. I made the wrong choice. I vomited again that night. It wasn't fear this time. It was guilt. The kind that rots you out from the inside, makes your bones feel brittle, like you're becoming a ghost before you die. But then the game fed me again. The phone rang. When I picked it up, a voice I didn't recognize whispered, "You can upload or you can die. You're out of credits." Then the screen flashed. New target assigned. Choose from list. There were 3 faces, random people. Face 1, a school janitor from Toronto. Face 2, a TikTok dance influencer from Vegas. Face 3, a blind woman who vlogged about baking from Berlin. That's when I realized the game wasn't just killing people. It was making content. Each target was like a channel, a new genre. Horror isn't enough anymore. It needs to be entertainment. It needs viewers, engagement, analytics. The game was evolving. It wasn't a haunted site. It was a platform. I chose the influencer. She annoyed me. All her videos were softcore thirst traps and AI-filtered vacation clips. Plastic life. Shallow. Forgettable. She made a TikTok the night she got the link. Caption: someone sent me a game. Too scared to click LOL. She clicked it at 2:01 a.m. At 2:06 a.m., her location pinged from a cemetery. She hadn't moved. Her phone had. At 2:10 a.m., her live went up. Not under her name, under a new one. At exfil 0 rate. No sound, just static. A single frame. Her, nailed to a rusted merry-go-round. Eyes removed. Mouth sewn shut with cable wire. Every 5 seconds, the screen blinked a message. You are the content. I don't know who's watching. I don't know who built this or why, but it's growing. You've seen the signs and didn't notice them. The Instagram account that only posts 3:33 a.m. photos from hospital basements. The YouTube ad that flashes a black screen for half a second with a skull in it. The Twitch stream that auto-hosts nothing. The McDonald's in Missouri, where every security camera went black for 13 minutes and nobody ever found the night manager again. You think it's ARGs, viral marketing, liminal art. It's not. It's feeding. And I fed it. I've sent links to 17 people. I stopped asking why after the 8th. That one was a guy who taught pre-K and liked to sculpt tiny animals out of Play-Doh for his students. They found his classroom intact, untouched, except for one thing. A laptop on his desk, logged into the dark web, and on the chalkboard, written in red crayon, "Playtime is over." You're wondering why I'm telling you all this now. Why break the silence? Why risk it? Because the rules just changed. I woke up this morning and the burner phone was gone, replaced with something new. A folded note, written in blood. You're out of targets. You must feed yourself. I don't know what that means, but I don't think it's a metaphor. I always thought I had a choice. The moment I pressed start, I thought I could navigate the game, beat it, manipulate it. Even when I sent Cassie the link, Even when I handed over Taylor, the influencer, the janitor, I told myself it was me or them, that there was a difference between playing and losing. But the game doesn't let you win. It waits. It pretends you're in control, like a mouse flicking a switch to get cheese, not knowing it's part of a behavioral loop it'll never escape from. Now I know. The lost phase doesn't ask for sacrifice. It devours the sacrificer. I stayed in the motel off Interstate 5 for 2 nights. The kind of place with a flickering vacancy sign and a clock that sleeps behind bulletproof glass with a shotgun under the desk. I paid cash, no ID, tossed my phone into a dumpster on the way there. Didn't matter. The moment I stepped into room 12, the TV turned on by itself. Not a horror movie, not static. It was me. Footage of me in the motel parking lot, walking up the stairs. Me checking in. Me buying Funyuns and a water bottle from the vending machine. Me pausing at the door, staring at the people. There were no cameras in the motel, no Wi-Fi, no signal, just the game. I blacked out. Don't remember falling asleep. Don't remember lying down. When I woke up, it was cold. So cold my fingertips were purple and stiff. I was in a bathtub filled with ice. My shirt was off. My stomach itched. There was something carved into the skin above my navel. Lev streaming. The bathroom mirror was fogged over. I wiped it clean with a shaking hand. Behind me, across the shower curtain, I saw shapes. Small, hunched, watching. Not people, not animals. Viewers. I ran out of the motel barefoot, bleeding, half naked, barely conscious. I didn't know where I was going. Just away. I collapsed near an abandoned loading dock, behind a Target, my body twitching from exhaustion and fear. The pain in my stomach was spreading like rust. Then I heard the whispering, not from outside, from inside me, like my organs had mouths, like my blood was speaking. It's your turn. Feed a stream. Be the content. I crawled to a nearby 24-hour fitness center, broke in through the back, dragged myself to a locker room, locked myself inside a supply closet. I opened the wound on my stomach with a box cutter I found next to a towel bin. I had to see. Inside wasn't muscle. Inside wasn't blood. Inside was a tiny lens, black, blinking, embedded where my intestines should be. The game installed a camera inside me. I passed out. When I came to, I was no longer in the closet. I was sitting in a plastic chair, in the center of a black room. Smooth walls, seamless, lit only by a single spotlight above my head. In front of me, an audience. I don't mean people. I mean monitors. Hundreds of them, lined from floor to ceiling, like the walls of a surveillance cathedral. And on every screen, me, in real time. Different angles, different expressions. My own body watching itself, judging, documenting. And in the center of the wall was the main screen. Live, host, number 3229. Viewers, 46,113,020. The view count ticked up, one by one, fast, faster, like a virus going viral. Then the screen blinked. Final challenge. Delete yourself. Winner gets a clean exit. Timer, 10 o'clock. The chair arm opened. Inside, a revolver. 6 bullets. 1 player. I should have screamed. I should have cried. But I laughed. Of course, that's how it ends. The same way every cursed ARG ends. Blood and drama and spectacle. A red mist for the crowd. But then the lights changed. I wasn't alone anymore. To my left, another chair. Then another. Then another. 6 chairs total. And they all looked like me. Same face. Same wounds. Same empty eyes. But they weren't mirrors. They moved differently. Like actors playing the role of me with only half the script. Each one had a number carved into its throat. 3, 2, 2, 8, George, 3, 2, 2, 7, 3, 2, 2, 6, 3, 2, 2, 5, 3, 2, 2, 4. Each one failed. You think I'm the first to get this far? You think I'm special? I'm not. I'm just the next copy in the loop. The last player gets reset, recycled, cloned into another host. The game keeps replicating, creating iterations of the perfect content creator. One that obeys, one that sacrifices, one that bleeds on cue. We're not players. We're livestock. The revolver was cold in my hand. My clones looked at me, silent, waiting. I could hear them breathing, could hear the hum of millions of viewers watching, salivating, wanting the kill, wanting me to kill me. That's when I realized this wasn't the final level, it was the first. Every time someone plays, the game records their mind, every scream, every decision, every failure. It builds a map, a behavioral template. Eventually, it doesn't need you anymore. It has your patterns, your soul, your footage. It can simulate you from memory. I was already dead. The real me died the moment I pressed start. Everything since has been a replay, a copy, a puppet twitching in a horror theater for a faceless audience. The screen blinked again. Closing loop in 60 seconds. Place head on table. Smile. End transmission. I didn't put the gun to my head. I stood up, chair scraping against the tile like a scream. I walked to the wall of monitors. I stared into each of them, daring the cameras to blink. Then I took the revolver and turned it away from me. I aimed it at the ceiling and pulled the trigger. Blackout. I woke up in my apartment, my old apartment, daylight filtering through the blinds. Everything was clean, unbroken, undisturbed. My phone buzzed. One notification. Thank you for playing. Share the link below with someone you trust. Or start again. Below that, 2 buttons. Share. Restart. There was no exit button. There never was. And above all that, a red banner flashing the only thing that's ever been true since the moment I logged on. You are the game now. If you think this was just a story, look around, check your reflection, watch your phone light up at 3:04 a.m. Listen for your mirror to breathe. Then tell me again that none of this is real. Go ahead, press start. I'll be watching. We all will. I've watched the most terrifying security tape on the dark web. Yo, what's up, Reddit? I've been sitting on this story for like 2 years now, and I've finally built up the courage to tell it. Mainly because I think someone out there needs to hear it. This isn't one of those I clicked on the wrong link and saw something messed up kind of stories. Nah, this is something that followed me, something that knew I saw it, and I swear to God, even now, I can still feel it watching me. This is gonna be a long post, so buckle up. I'll break it into parts, but I'm telling you now, this is not just some spooky pasta. This is real as the weird chills I get when my webcam flickers, even when it's turned off. Part 1. The invite. It all started in March 2023. I was staying with my cousin Gabe in downtown Chicago for spring break. He lives right near that one crazy busy Starbucks next to the giant mirrored bean thing. Yeah, Cloudgate, or whatever it's called. The city was packed, and I was broke. So Gabe and I were just vibing in his apartment, living off Uber Eats and Red Bull, watching YouTube until our eyes hurt. We were deep into those creepy animation horror channels. You know the ones, like Here's My Story, Wanitok, and that other one that makes the faces look all twisted and uncanny. We were binging those late at night with all the lights off, just being dumb teens trying to scare each other. But then Gabe brought up something different, something real. "You ever been on the deep web?" he asked, smirking, sipping a half-flat Monster. "Bro, no," I laughed. "I'm not trying to get hacked or watch someone eat their own hand." He just grinned and pulled out his old ThinkPad, the kind of laptop that looks like it belongs to a Russian hacker in an 80s movie. "I got a link, an invite-only room," he said. "It's not like red rooms or anything. It's just weird footage, like unreleased stuff from security cameras and CCTV around the world." Now, that should have been a red flag. But Gabe, he was always chasing that next creepy thrill like it was a TikTok trend. So he connected to his VPN, opened Tor, and loaded this onion link he had saved in a file literally labeled "Do Not Click." Super reassuring. The page was basic. Black background, white text. At the top, it said, "The Watcher's Vault." Underneath, there was a warning. "Content is real. Viewer discretion advised. We do not own or control the source." I thought it was just ARG roleplay. Gabe clicked enter and scrolled past a bunch of videos. Titles like "Girl Follows Stranger into Gas Station, Never Comes Out." Elevator footage, Tokyo apartment, 3:17 a.m. Starbucks Chicago, table 4, January 12th, 2022. I blinked. Wait, that last one's literally like 2 blocks from here. Yeah, and it has views. Look. He clicked. The video opened in a staticky black and white feed with a timestamp in the corner, January 12th, 2022, 3:21 a.m. You could see the Starbucks interior. It looked empty, except for a guy sitting alone at a table near the back. Hoodie, face down, just motionless. After maybe 10 seconds, something walked in, but it didn't walk normal. It glided. I swear to you, it had the outline of a person, but its proportions were wrong. Too tall, limbs too thin, like if Slender Man was wearing someone's skin as a jacket. It stood behind the guy for a full minute. Then, slowly, its head bent down, like an owl twisting its neck. The thing whispered something in the guy's ear. You couldn't hear anything. It was a silent feed, but the guy suddenly started shaking, like full-body convulsions. He stood up, turned to face the camera, and his eyes were bleeding. He walked to the counter, calmly grabbed a fork someone had left behind. Who leaves a fork at Starbucks? And, without hesitation, shoved it into his own neck. Blood sprayed across the counter. The feed glitched hard. You could see frames skip, like the tape was being manually scrubbed. Then it cut to black. The video auto-looped. I was frozen. Gabe, too. Neither of us said anything for a minute. "Dude, is that real?" I whispered. "I don't know," he said, trying to sound cool, but I could tell he was shook. Probably fake. Probably RG stuff. But I knew what I saw. That man had blinked at the camera before stabbing himself. Not in a spooky, haunted way. In a, "this is real, and I'm aware of you" kind of way. Later that night, while scrolling Instagram, I noticed something weird. An account followed me, called At Watching You. 23. No posts, no profile picture. But in the bio, it said, "Table 4 was just the beginning." I didn't tell Gabe. I figured he made the account to mess with me. But when I clicked the profile again the next morning, it was gone. Not deleted. Gone. Like it had never existed. Except my following list said otherwise. I was following it back. I haven't even gotten to the worst part yet. That night, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. My phone buzzed. New notification. Airdrop request. The Watchers wants to share a video. I wasn't connected to anyone's Bluetooth, and I was alone in the room. That airdrop request, it wasn't a fluke. I didn't open it. Not right away. I stared at it, heart racing, thumb hovering over the decline button like it would detonate if I touched the wrong part of the screen. The name, The Watchers, sat on my phone like it belonged there, as if my device wasn't mine anymore, like they had already been inside it for a while, and now they were just waiting for me to notice. And then, this is the part I can't get anyone to believe. The airdrop accepted itself. I didn't tap anything. I swear on every soul in my family tree, I did not touch a damn thing. The screen flickered once, went black, and then a video popped up. Unnamed. No metadata. Length 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But it played anyway. It was grainy, like a night vision security cam feed from early 2000s, all green and gray and warped. At first, it looked like a normal bedroom. Mine, in fact. Except the camera wasn't placed from my phone's view. It was from above, like up in the corner of the ceiling. I don't have a camera like that. I watched in dead silence as the figure of myself entered the room. Not from the door, from the closet. My own body walked out of the closet, turned to look directly into the corner where the camera was, and smiled. That twisted, awful kind of smile you'd see on a ventriloquist dummy that knows it's not being controlled anymore. I could see the glint in its eyes, my eyes, except the whites were stained yellow, and there was something wriggling just under the skin, like something small and living was crawling behind my face. The video cut to black. Then, just one word appeared on the screen. Return. I thought I was dreaming, like genuinely losing my mind. I even slapped myself. Nothing changed. I ran into the living room, woke up Gabe, shaking him like a madman. Dude, something's in my phone. It showed me in my room, but I came out the closet, bro. I wasn't even awake. Half asleep, Gabe groaned and took my phone. He scrolled. There's no video, man. You're tripping. You've been watching too much of that weird deep web. The video was here, Gabe. He held up the phone. Nothing. It was wiped. Not even in my file directory. But something was off about the phone now. It ran slower. Glitched every few seconds. Random frames of something flashing before the screen could fully black out. For the rest of the night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The next day, we left the apartment to grab food from the McDonald's on Wabash. I needed something normal, something greasy and boring and human. The world outside felt off, though. Too quiet. Even in a city that never shuts up. The sound of tires, chatter, footsteps. It all felt muffled, muted, like I was walking through a wax museum of real life, and someone had turned the volume down on reality. We sat near the window, fries between us, barely touching them. Gabe was scrolling Reddit on his phone, trying to find anything about the Watcher's vault. I was just trying to calm down, watching people pass outside. Then my stomach dropped. I saw him. The guy from the Starbucks footage. Same hoodie. Same motionless way of walking, like his joints weren't attached right. He walked past the McDonald's, slow as death, eyes locked on me, through the glass. His neck was bent at a 45-degree angle, unnaturally sharp, like it had been snapped. But he moved like it didn't bother him. His mouth hung open in a perfect, rigid O. And when he passed, he turned his head a full 180 degrees, without moving his shoulders, just to keep looking at me until he vanished from sight. Later that night, Gabe got curious again. I wish he hadn't. He went back to that deep website and clicked on another video. January 17th, 2023, New York subway station C, uncut feed. He was from Brooklyn originally, so this caught his eye. I told him not to, but he didn't listen. The footage opened to a seemingly empty subway platform. One bench, one vending machine. Dead silence. Then, at 3:06 a.m., why is it always past 3 a.m. in these videos? A woman entered the frame, holding her phone. She was pacing, restless, clearly waiting for a train that wasn't coming. What happened next? She looked up, her face twisted into terror. She began screaming, real, raw, guttural terror, but no sound came through. Silent video. She started clawing at her face like something invisible had wrapped around it. Blood streamed down her chin. Then her limbs froze, mid-motion. Frame by frame, she was lifted off the ground, not by anything you could see, just hoisted upward like her body had turned into a marionette. Then her spine bent backward, full snap, like a twig. The camera feed glitched, badly. When it came back, the platform was empty. Nothing left but one red scarf on the bench. No blood, no woman, nothing. Then the camera tilted slightly, not like a glitch, like someone was adjusting it. And then it zoomed in, not on the scarf, on us. It zoomed until the pixelated feed looked directly into our faces, as if it could see through the screen. We slammed the laptop shut. It kept playing. The audio kicked in now, just for a few seconds, and we heard a voice, a whisper, distant, like someone screaming into a vacuum. Return what you saw, or become it. That was the last night I saw Gabe. I woke up the next morning, and his bed was cold. Laptop on the floor, still playing the same footage, but his phone was gone. His wallet, everything, except one thing, his teeth. They were lined up perfectly on his pillow, every single one of them, clean, unbroken, like someone had gently pulled them out one by one. No blood, just teeth, and carved into the headboard in scratched wood letters. We are always recording. I couldn't go to the cops. What would I say? Hey, my cousin watched a haunted subway video and vanished into thin air after leaving his molars behind. So I left. I went back to my small town, moved in with my mom, tried to forget everything. I deleted all my accounts, ditched my SIM card, factory reset my phone. Hell, I even started going to therapy. It worked, for a while. But 2 nights ago, I found a USB in my mailbox. No note, no return address. I plugged it in. I had to. There was one file. Cam 03 Chicago Wabash. Mac DU arrival.move. It was me, sitting at the McDonald's window, from the outside, shot from across the street, and in the reflection of the window was that same man with the broken neck, standing directly behind me. There's a certain kind of cold that doesn't come from winter or air conditioning. It's the kind of cold that starts behind your eyes, in the brain, like something's reaching inside, wrapping your thoughts in ice. I've been living in that cold for weeks now. After the USB showed up, I didn't sleep. I started seeing the man in reflections, not just windows, mirrors, blacked out phone screens, even in the shine of silverware. Always the same broken neck posture, always just behind me, sometimes smiling, sometimes wide-eyed, but always watching, always still. Then, 3 nights ago, I got an email. The address was complete gibberish, something like admin at x4781.void, but the subject line read, Final viewing, Do not watch if you wish to live. Inside was a single file, a link. The URL was long, messy, filled with slashes and strings I couldn't even pronounce. No browser would open it. I had to dig out Gabe's old ThinkPad, fire up Tor again, and reroute through 3 VPNs just to avoid frying my IP. It finally loaded. A dark page. No words, just a live feed titled Burial Camera 04 User Match Found. I clicked it. I didn't think. I just clicked it. And what I saw was impossible. It was me, from a bird's eye view, in a coffin, buried underground. The camera must have been embedded in the lid because the angle was sickening. My face was pale, eyes open, body frozen stiff, like I had been posed for viewing. Except I was breathing, chest barely rising, eyes moving, watching. The real horror wasn't the fact that it looked exactly like me. It was that I remembered something. I remembered being in that coffin. Only flashes, like broken film strips. Darkness. The taste of dirt in my mouth. A pressure so heavy on my chest, it felt like the earth itself was lying on top of me. And then, scratching. Not mine. Someone else's. I slammed the laptop shut, disconnected everything, turned off my phone. I even unplugged the microwave. I went full paranoia mode. Didn't help. The next day, the camera feed showed up again. On my TV this time. It was just on when I walked into the room. No remote, no HDMI, nothing connected, just the coffin, the version of me inside it. Only now, I wasn't alone. There was another face. It slid into the top of the frame slowly, like someone had been crawling down from the ceiling of the coffin, upside down. The thing didn't blink, didn't breathe. It looked like a man whose skin had been boiled and peeled, then stitched back with fishing line. Its eyes were blank holes, not black, hollow. Its jaw clicked open and shut like it had no muscles, just hinges. And then it spoke. The sound didn't come from the TV. It came from the walls. You are the viewer. Now be viewed. I tried running. I grabbed my jacket, bolted down the stairs of my mom's house, didn't even put on shoes. I ran to the nearby Walgreens just to be somewhere public, anywhere with people. But the second I walked in, everyone stopped, like literally froze in place. Cashiers, customers, a woman in the middle of handing her toddler a juice box, all frozen, like mannequins mid-movement. Then they all turned their heads toward me at the same time. Not slowly, not robotically, perfectly synchronized, and said, together, "We saw you in the grave." I collapsed, right there, on the cold tile floor between aisle 4 and the red box machine, blacked out, not from fear, from something else, like my brain shut off to protect itself. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. A nurse told me I'd passed out from a stress episode. They ran some tests, gave me fluids, all that boring medical stuff. But when I looked in the mirror in the bathroom, I noticed something wrong. My reflection wasn't blinking when I blinked. I stared, held my breath, and watched as my own reflection tilted its head, cracked its neck once to the left, and grinned. Same grin from the closet video. Same grin as the man with the broken neck. I threw the soap dispenser at the mirror. It cracked, but didn't shatter. And then the reflection began bleeding. Not me, not my face. The mirror version of me started bleeding from the eyes, the mouth, even the ears, like black ink was leaking from every pore. A nurse ran in screaming. They said I was hallucinating, that I had extreme visual stress trauma. I told them I needed a priest. They told me I needed rest. The day I got discharged, I went home to find an envelope duct taped to the front door. No name, no return address, just a single USB inside and a Polaroid photo. The photo showed a grave, freshly dug, headstone unmarked. The coffin was still visible in the soil. And there, standing next to it, was me. Not a version of me. Me, in the clothes I was wearing at that exact moment, holding the photo, taking the photo. My hands started shaking. I dropped the envelope, the USB clattering on the ground. It didn't fall normally. It landed on its side and just stood there, perfectly balanced. The USB vibrated. I took it inside and plugged it into an old Chromebook that had never touched my home Wi-Fi. This time, I didn't hesitate. I needed to know what was going on. I needed answers. The USB contained one file. Loopfeed final user.mp4. Length 6 hours, 66 minutes, 66 seconds. I hit play, and I will never be the same. The feed was raw, shaky, like it had been filmed from someone's chest cam. It showed a long tunnel underground, wet walls, sounds of something breathing or gasping hard, like lungs weren't enough. And then the video glitched. You know, that old school Windows 98 blue screen flash. It did that, over and over, and each time it flashed, I saw quick images, horrible images. A child crawling backward down an escalator into darkness, bones snapping the wrong direction as he moved. A woman holding her face in her hands, literally, like someone had peeled it off and handed it to her. A crowd of people dancing in a circle around a fire in Times Square at night. Except there was no fire, just a pile of twitching bodies, and the dancers were all wearing my face. Then, at the 3-hour mark, it went quiet. Black screen, a whisper. He's almost here. And then, the camera turned on again. This time, it was real time. A live feed of me, watching the video, on the Chromebook, my hands on the keyboard, my face twisted in horror, and then something entered the frame behind me. I screamed and turned around in real life. No one was there. But when I turned back to the laptop, the screen had changed. It said, "You watched. You became. Now you will be watched. Forever." Then the Chromebook sparked, hard, and fried itself. I don't sleep anymore. I see cameras everywhere. Places I know don't have them. Inside my microwave, behind the toilet, under the bed. I can hear the soft mechanical whir of lenses adjusting when I breathe. I've ripped every cord, smashed every device. It doesn't stop. I'm no longer a person. I'm content. A file in a folder. Another security tape waiting to be played. And if you've read this far, check your phone, check your emails, check your reflections, because once you see the watcher's vault, you're not a viewer anymore. You're next in the grave feed. There's a moment, a precise second in time, where reality folds. You don't notice it when it happens. It's not dramatic. No thunderclap, no voice from above. It's silent. A glitch in the way the air moves. A blink you don't remember taking. You're walking home, or scrolling TikTok, or brushing your teeth, and suddenly, everything is off by a few frames. That's how I knew I'd crossed over. The second after that Chromebook fried itself, something shifted. The sounds of my neighborhood outside, dogs barking, cars rolling by, someone mowing the lawn, all muted, warped, like it was all playing through an old cassette tape that had been stretched out too long in the sun. The USB was gone, completely. I hadn't even ejected it, just vanished. I should have left then. I should have packed a bag and ran to the middle of the woods. But something in me, something not me, kept whispering, Finish the feed. The voice came from my throat, but I wasn't saying it. That night, the dreams came back, but they weren't dreams. Dreams don't hurt. I woke up in the live feed room. Or maybe I never woke up at all. That's the part I still can't explain. The room wasn't a room exactly. It was like standing inside a giant, infinite monitor. Black walls made of shifting static, ceiling flickering with TV snow, and the floor. My God, the floor. It was glass, and beneath it were coffins, hundreds of them, all open, all full. Each one held a version of me, not in different outfits, in different states. One bloated and green with rot, one with no skin, one burned to ash, but still twitching, one crying blood while mouthing words I couldn't hear, one that looked just like me, perfectly alive, except it was staring straight up at me, smiling. I tried to scream, but sound didn't work there. My throat moved, but nothing came out. Then the static walls started glowing, white lines forming screens. Each screen played a different security tape, and every single one featured me. In one, I'm sitting at a Paris cafe, drinking coffee. The Eiffel Tower is visible in the background. A normal scene, until my reflection in the cafe window turns toward the camera, lifts a knife, and carves a symbol into my forehead. In another, I'm standing in the middle of Times Square, motionless, while people sprint past me screaming in silence. A banner flashes above. The live feed room opens at midnight. Blood starts pouring from every digital billboard. A third one shows me in a hospital bed. Tubes everywhere. No doctors, no nurses. Just a constant alarm beeping faster and faster. Until something, a long wet arm made entirely of teeth, slithers out of the ceiling and wraps around my face. I shut my eyes. Didn't matter. The feed kept playing behind my eyelids. Then a voice. This time, not from the walls, from behind me. Which version do you think is the real you? I turned, and it was standing there. The man, the one with the broken neck. But this time, he wasn't alone. There were hundreds of him, all the same body, same dead grin, same tilted head, but each face was different. My old teachers, Gabe, that Starbucks barista who used to give me free espresso shots, even my mom, all wearing the same skin, all dead behind the eyes, and they were recording me, holding cameras, phones, security cams duct taped to their faces. "We are all watchers now," they said together. Then they pulled me to the floor. Through the glass, I landed inside one of the coffins, cold, damp, full of something wet. But it wasn't dirt. It was maggots. Thousands of them. They didn't crawl on me. They burrowed into me. I felt them squeeze between my teeth, slip into my ears, slide behind my eyes like they were looking for switches in my skull. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I could only watch the lid close. The feed didn't go dark. It got clearer, as if being inside the coffin gave me perfect signal. Then, silence, except for a single sound, a slow, heavy breath. Not mine. It was coming from the corner. Yes, the coffin had a corner. That's the part that broke me. There was space behind me. Something was back there. I turned my head as far as I could, just enough to see a face. My face, staring, unblinking, rotten. It whispered, voice cracking and wet. "You're not watching the tape anymore. You are the tape." I woke up in my bed. No USB, no screens on, just silence, until my laptop turned itself on. No power light, no battery, just a screen, showing a live feed of someone else. A kid, maybe 13, sitting in his room, scrolling through Reddit. Then a window popped up on his screen. The Watcher's vault wants to connect. He clicked. He's watching now, and I'm watching him, because that's what the live feed room is. It's everywhere. Every camera, every phone, every smart fridge, every airport scanner, every ring light and Twitch stream and baby monitor. The vault is open, and you don't get to choose to leave. You don't get to look away. Once you've seen the tapes, you're part of them. Your face gets added to the crowd. Your screams become audio tracks. Your death becomes content. And every second you don't watch, it watches you harder. I haven't eaten in days. I haven't left the house. I don't even remember what real light feels like. Everything around me is just screen glare and static now. I tried turning off the power. It turned itself back on. I tried gouging my own eyes out. I still see it. And here's the part that finally broke me. The reason I'm typing this, I got a notification just now, an email, no sender, subject line, you're going live in 5 minutes, smile for the watchers. I don't remember clicking start. I don't even remember logging in, but something started the stream. I watched the countdown tick from 5 to 1, and then my camera lit up, even though I'd removed the battery and shattered the lens days ago. I was live. The screen said so. Live. 873,224 viewers. And climbing. The number rose every second. Dozens, hundreds, then thousands per blink. No chat, no likes, no platform name. Just the feed, just my face. Wide-eyed, shaking, bleeding from both nostrils without realizing. I tried to scream, but it came out reversed. A wet, crackling sound that sucked itself back into my mouth. I watched myself in third person as the camera panned. It was moving, slowly rotating, capturing my room like it was scanning a crime scene that hadn't happened yet. Then the message appeared in red across the bottom of the feed. Slaughter. Sequence begins in 0, 0, 0, 6, 6, 6. I reached for the cord to unplug the laptop. There wasn't one. The cord was gone. My outlets had melted, literally melted into the wall. My router split in half, wires curling like fingers trying to claw their way out, and the time kept counting down. 04:92. The door to my room creaked open, but not from the hinge. It opened from the wall, like the plaster had folded inward and peeled back, revealing something that shouldn't have been there. The hallway wasn't my hallway anymore. It was wrong. Too long. Too narrow. The walls pulsed like skin under a migraine. The lights flickered with every second that ticked down. 00234. I should have run, but I didn't. I watched, because that's what they want, what they train you to do. And from that hallway came a figure, not walking, not crawling, dragged by something above it. Strings of tendon and sinew pulled like a puppet on invisible wires. It was me, or a copy of me, naked, pale, covered in barcodes, each barcode a date and a time. I saw March 12th, 2022, the day Gabe vanished. January 17th, 2023, the subway woman. October 5th, 2021, my grandfather's funeral. And today, tonight, right now, tattooed across the throat in bleeding black ink. Content captured. It opened its mouth. No tongue, just a lens. A camera lens embedded deep inside its throat, blinking mechanically, red dot glowing like a sniper's mark. Then a voice from behind the wall, deep, digitized, layered like it was spoken by thousands of mouths, all at once. Smile for the close-up. The feed zoomed, straight into my eyes. That's when the pain started. It wasn't like stabbing. or burning. It was reprogramming, like my muscles were fighting my skin and the skin was trying to crawl in the opposite direction. I watched my reflection in the dark screen as my jaw dislocated, bending sideways until it snapped. My fingers bent backward, each one making a dull crack pop like broken crayons. And still, I couldn't look away. The voice returned. You're not being watched. You're being broadcasted. Forever. You are archived. The room began shifting, walls turning black with code. My posters, my bed, my shelves, all replaced with vertical rows of security monitors. Each screen showed a different person, sleeping, eating, crying, some in cages, some buried in dirt, one in a school bathroom stall rocking back and forth, whispering my name. One of the monitors turned toward me. It was my mother. Eyes rolled back, mouth moving fast, like a preacher in a fit. Blood down her neck. She was clutching something in her hands. A folded paper. I couldn't make out the words, so they showed me. The voice whispered into my spine. Your death certificate. Dated today. Cause of death. Observed. Then the final feed began. The screen went black, except for a blinking cursor. Then letters appeared, one by one, like someone was typing them from inside my head. Final file opened. User, soul, live feed, extraction, exporting, identity, MP4. And the image that loaded last was me, strapped to a chair, eyelids sewn open, head cracked open like an egg, wires plugging into my brainstem. All around me, on every wall, mirrors, not to reflect me, to reflect the audience. Rows and rows of faceless silhouettes, watching. One clapped slowly, each hand clap distorting the screen with static. Then, from all sides, applause, deafening, endless, mechanical, and the sound of metal folding inward. I wasn't in my room anymore. I was in a vault. There are thousands of us, millions, people who saw too much, clicked too deep, downloaded things that never should have been watched. Each of us is a different file, a different feed, a different slice of horror porn, or whatever those things are. You think you're alone when you're watching? You're not. You're just one side of the screen. You're the audience, until you become the episode. And if you're reading this, if you've come this far, if any part of you got curious and opened the links I posted earlier, you're already being filmed. Go ahead, check your phone. You'll find a new folder in your gallery. Vault user, live open it. See yourself. Watching. Being watched. Streaming. Forever. End of file. This post will delete itself in 66 seconds. You won't. You're archived.